Hi, and welcome to this podcast with me, Geeta Joshi. I'm here today talking to street artist Andrea Tyrimos. Welcome, Andrea.
Hiya, hi Geeta.
How are you?
I'm really good, thank you. Pleased to be chatting with you today.
Good. It's an early Sunday morning, isn't it? But never mind.
Yeah. Bleary-eyed.
So why don't you tell us a bit about your work actually first? Because I know you more as a street artist, but obviously you have this other exhibition or other artwork, body of work that you produce that is more gallery based, I guess. But talk me through some of the street art first.
Yeah, so the street art, it's funny to sort of call myself a street artist because I don't really consider myself a street artist.
Sorry, my mistake.
No, not your mistake at all. It's just my own. It's kind of, I feel like I'm an artist that happens to occasionally paint on the street as opposed to, but it's just in terms of, I suppose the stuff I use to paint on the streets isn't what you would traditionally associate street artists with, perhaps. That happened. I mean, the way that started was, so when I was at uni at St Martin's, we were given the theme of play. So it was, how can we make our whatever we were doing more playful? So I was a painter at the time, and I was thinking, God, how am I going to do this? How am I going to make a painting playful? Like, it's not something you'd associate with paintings as you would maybe with more installation-based work or computer work or what have you. And then I kind of came up with this idea of making my painting camouflaged into its background. At the time, we were doing this we had this amazing space at Trinity Boy Wharf in East London, and I was really fascinated by this really cool kind of warehousey underground area that had this really amazing brickwork that was full of character. So I kind of took it upon myself to blend the painting into its surroundings, and then it kind of turned into this thing of find the painting. So it was kind of really playful. People had to kind of go on a hunt for it. Yeah, it really just grew from that. So I became really fascinated with environments and the walls that surround us. And I kind of see walls almost as wrinkles on a person's face, like, you know, whether it's something someone's carved in or stuck a bit of chewing gum, or a poster had been there, or it'd been weathered by the rain. So I thought it really tells the history of an environment. And then, funny story, so that kind of, I always wanted to take that further. I always wanted to kind of go on the streets of London and expand that project. But I finished uni and kind of life takes over, kind of commissioned works came in and other themes of works developed. But then the reason that ended up happening was I actually had a studio fire where a lot of my work was destroyed, and the studio, it was uninhabitable for a while. Oh. So I then kind of thought, where am I?
As well?
That was in my studio in North London, which is still where I'm based today. So there was quite a period of time where I couldn't work. So then I thought, okay, you know what? I'll finally do that work that I've been, that's kind of sat on the back burner for a while. So I kind of went onto the streets. I'd put blank canvases up on the walls, camouflage them into their surroundings, and then it's that thing of taking them out of their context. But yeah, it kind of, that's where it grew. It's definitely developed since then. I've been able to paint in some really great spaces, the Oxo Tower with Roy's People Art Fair, Barbican Centre, just on the Hoxton Hotel. But now it's kind of, developed into more environmental pieces as well, where I'm kind of looking into creating pieces to promote cleaner air in London and less pollution. So that kind of started with a telephone box that I did on Southampton Row in Bloomsbury. And that was in association with a social enterprise called Public Space Jam. And now that's something that I'm continuing. So I just literally, maybe not even a month ago, I painted some pieces on Whitecross Street in Islington, and that was outside a housing association, Coltash Court. So I'm very big on art for the people, and art should be accessible for everyone. So yeah, that's kind of
painting. Is that right then? You are painting straight onto the walls themselves, or are you then applying something to the painting to the wall?
A bit of both. So sometimes I'll take a blank canvas, pop it up on the wall and camouflage it in, so I'm not actually touching the wall. But now what I'm tend to also moving towards is painting directly onto the walls for permanent pieces of public art. So whether that's been commissioned through the council or whether it's directly through the people or what have you. I mean, it all in oils because I'm a mad woman. Yeah,
Oh,
all in oil.
this was I found really surprising as well. It's like you're actually there with, oils and all of that, right? Rather than spray cans, which is what we traditionally associate with that. How long does that take, and how does that work? Because if you're layering it up, the time to dry it, how safe is that given it's often outdoors?
Yeah, just it's a bit crazy. It's just kind of, it started with, that was just what I was used to. So I just thought, well, I'm an oil painter. I just thought, well, rather than try and learn something else, I want to kind of stick to my craft. I feel like I've honed that craft for many years. But for me, it kind of works. I mean, it takes a long time. So for the phone box, for example, I was there every single day, including weekends, for a month. And that was in January. And at the time it was raining. Yeah. And it's a system of layering. So I layer the work up to get the detail. But yeah, what I have found has happened, because it does take so long, is that opportunity for people to witness the progression and the process of the artwork has become really important. And the interactions that I'm able to have with the public is almost as important as the work itself. And that's something that I love, because I think art, as mentioned before, should be for absolutely everybody. And it's a really cool opportunity to get to do that.
That is so exciting, actually. Yeah, I can totally understand that. You know, people are walking past you on their daily commute or, whatever. That's fantastic, actually, get to see the work progressing, but also kind of like build up that confidence to start speaking to you as well, right?
Yeah, I think so. And I try to be really approachable. Anybody that I can feel that is watching or hovering, or, I always engage with absolutely everybody. I'm a people person, and I've kind of missed that being on my own in the studio. So whenever I do my public pieces, I love engaging with everybody. Whether it's somebody that's an art enthusiast or whether it's somebody that knows absolutely nothing, and they'll just sort of sometimes say, oh, I don't know anything about art, but I like that. And I said, but that's the best thing. That's like the pure natural response, with no art history background, with no reasons as to why you might love or hate something. And I find that really interesting.
What sort of references does your art have in terms of like art history and things then?
Oh, I mean, I suppose with the brick pieces, with the camouflage pieces, there's some trompe-l'oeil in there. Mm-hmm. So trying to really get that kind of camouflage blended in effect. I'm really inspired by a lot of the Renaissance artists in how they paint, with the layering, the detail, and that kind of stippling effect.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, the effect of light and shadow and all of that. So I feel like I paint traditionally, but in the most contemporary context, on the most contemporary kind of subject matter.
I mean, I guess this is the thing, isn't it? It's like, what is street art? I mean, is it just the placement of it on the street, or is it actually more of a style and a genre or whatever? Yeah. I guess, right? Because typically you do associate that with, sort of born out of a graffiti tradition. So it's actually quite ephemeral in that respect, right? It gets painted over and cleaned up or whatever, and then somebody else comes along. Whereas obviously a lot of what you're doing, both from process and obviously some of them are commissioned and sanctioned, right? So they're going to stay for longer. But yeah, it's quite a thing. Are you sort of losing the street artist handle these days, or do you still use that when you're applying for commissions?
Yeah, no, I like it. I like both. I think because I do different things, I feel almost like when I started on the street, I almost felt like I wasn't worthy to be on the street, if you know what I mean, because there's these amazing street artists that can create these beautiful pieces so quickly, with their spray cans and everything. And I sort of felt like I couldn't put myself within that bracket. But the longer I've been doing it, the more confident I've become. But I think I just want people to be aware that I do both, maybe. And it's that crossover that really interests me. But no, definitely, I'm very proud to say that I do, I paint on the street and stuff. It's just interesting to see different people's reactions when they're seeing me standing there with like a number one tiny paintbrush or with my little paint palette and stuff.
And then so you also show with Curious Duke. So Duke, is that the same style of work, but obviously more, and how would you say it? Smaller pieces, right, that could fit in the gallery? Is it the same style of work, or do you actually have a different aesthetic for the work that you show within the gallery space?
Yeah, I mean, I have, so definitely show those pieces, so that whether it's pieces that have been created on the street or inspired by the street. A lot of my stuff is very inspired by kind of modern day living. I kind of almost call them urban landscapes. So it's very, very much the aesthetic is kind of that 24/7 society, modernity. So yeah, they definitely have a selection of work that's within that same kind of body, I suppose. But then where I've got my other theme of work, that's kind of something completely different. And it's that thing of being an artist. Can you do both? And I believe you should, because I think art should be about what speaks to you the most. So
I agree, and I think you need to, if you're working on that, then you're always going to be having new ideas, and sometimes you have to follow through on them to see where that takes you. What about?
Yeah, I'm glad to hear you say that, because that's sometimes people think you have to really stick to one theme and that's it. But for me personally, I'm interested in an artist who maybe does 2 or 3 different things, and as long as I can see that their heart and the passion's there. So it's nice to hear you say that, from your perspective.
When you go back sort of decades or centuries, the artists that we remember did work in multiple, media. They had sort of different interests as they evolved through their career, as different things happened in their life, even like using Picasso as an example. His work through, each decade is practically different. He'd go to the south of France for the ceramics thing. There was, he was doing different things in different places. I'd love to know what he'd be doing now with digital media and making movies or something, probably.
Exactly.
About your other project. Well, actually, no, first talk to me about Roy's People. What are you doing with them? Because that's happening in November of this year, the next fair. What are you doing with them?
So I mean, they're fantastic. I consider them both friends as well as colleagues. But they're the only artist-led art fair. So both Roy and Sam are artists themselves, and I think they saw that kind of gap in the market where they know how the artist works, as well as doing the business and organisational side of it. And from an artist who's involved in it, that's really important, because you really feel like you can relate, to the organisers, and you can see that what is most important to them is the art and the artist, above everything else. So I've worked with them on both their previous art fairs. I actually was able to do one of my brick projects live at the Oxo Tower. So I was creating one of the kind of camouflage pieces. So that was really cool, really fun.
Was that on the outside of the barge house or inside? Because, obviously it's got like great brick walls all the way through.
Yeah, that was inside actually, and I had 2 different locations. So I was in between I think it was the 2nd floor and the 3rd floor. And then that was really nice, because sort of by the end of it, people were looking at me thinking, what's she doing? She's just on a wall. But by that point, I'd already kind of camouflaged it in. So that was really nice. And it's kind of like that thing of own a piece of the Oxo Tower. But they're really cool, fun, easygoing, humble guys. They're a pleasure to work with. They really, really are. So for the one coming up in November, so it's the 1st to the 4th of November, they're actually working with Centrepoint, homeless charity. And I'm involved. So what we're doing is it's a really exciting collaboration. So my other theme of work, which is called Bipolar Picasso, it's where I create art installations of people who have experienced or suffered with mental illness. And obviously, unfortunately, a lot of people who are homeless either are homeless and then maybe develop a mental illness, or it could be the other way around, that because of their mental health struggles, it might have caused them to become homeless. So straight away, it just seemed like a real nice kind of, it made sense for this collaboration to go ahead. So I'm going to be creating one of my, I haven't actually created a new piece for this. It's been over a year. So I had my solo show in East London a couple of years ago, and then kind of just needed a bit of a break from it, created a series of 10 paintings. This is going to be the first new addition to that series of work. And we've already got the sitter in place. So that's going to go ahead, and it's yeah, it's just really interesting. It's portrait work, and it's also combined with an audio piece as well. So you're able to listen to the person speak about their innermost feelings and thoughts surrounding their experience with mental health, while looking directly at them, at the portrait painting I've created.
So is the sitter that you've chosen one of the users of the Centrepoint service?
Exactly, yeah, exactly, Gita. So it's somebody that, well, she actually says Centrepoint like saved her life and completely changed her life. And so she's come out the other end now, and she's achieved some fantastic things. Her name's Catherine, and she's won awards that's been presented by Prince William. She now does talks, she writes articles, and she goes back and helps other young people who suffer and struggle. So I can't wait to have that first sitting with her, and I feel really honoured for her to be a part of the show, and that Roy's People Art Fair are helping in doing this. And that's the kind of thing that I think stands them apart from everybody else, that they're interested in doing these really important passion projects, really, for the bigger good, not just, what might benefit them or what have you.
And then, so where does that happen? So are you painting her live during the art fair?
So the installation will be finished live on the opening night. So that's Thursday the 1st of November. So I'll be meeting her beforehand, doing all that preparatory work, working on the piece in the studio. But then it will be finished live on the 1st of November. So I'll be there painting it. So anybody that comes, definitely come and say hello. And that's again at the Oxo Tower.
Oh my goodness, that sounds so cool. And then what about the audio piece? Is that something you're recording while she is sitting for you, or have you collaborated with another sound artist for that portion of the project?
Yeah, no, that's something that I do. So what happened, we just have a chat, almost like how me and you are having a chat now, just a really informal chat about her experiences, and I record that, and that then gets edited, and then that will become a piece. I mean, it was funny, it wasn't even initially intended to be that way. I was just going to be a portrait, but as I was meeting these amazing people, the stories were just so important, and I thought this has to somehow be a part of the work. It kind of just grew really organically from that. So yeah, when I do the sketches or the photographs and I'm just chatting along, that will get recorded and be a part of it. I think I read this statistic the other day, said something silly like we look at a painting for like 10 seconds before we move on. Yeah, so it's really cool that it gets you to really engage with the painting, and more for the person as well, because a lot of people feel like they're not heard. There's still this huge stigma around mental illness, and a lot of people feel like they can't be as open, fear of being judged by society. And that was my...
a lot of work in the public domain now around that, isn't there? Sort of making it much more acceptable to talk about and things, which was always sort of brushed under the carpet. What about...
Yeah.
Is there a follow-on after that? I mean, are you going to be doing another exhibition, like what would that be, a variation or evolution of the Bipolar Picasso exhibition, or what else?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's going to be, I think after I do a few newer pieces, I think I'll then put on another show. So whether that will include some of the previous works or just the new works, I'm not too sure yet. But I would definitely want this to be something that I continue to do. Yeah, it's my passion project. It's what means so much to me. So in whatever way I can, I want this to be something that I continually do alongside perhaps my other art. And there's no pressure to it. It's just something that I really feel like is really important. So, but yeah, there definitely will be something else coming from it. I've already got actor Nicholas Pinnock on board. So what I try to do is have celebrities alongside members of the public.
Oh yeah.
That was predominantly because I was really frustrated with the way that the media only really cover it when it concerns a celebrity. And I felt like, what about all the other members of public that are suffering with mental health? So I wanted to use their celebrity status to then help you to understand somebody else's struggle. So for every celebrity I painted, this is for the initial project, I matched it by a member of the public. Because it's that thing of like for example, Stephen Fry, we all agree that he's amazing, and eccentric, and we all love him. But if we were to find out our neighbour, perhaps, or our colleague had bipolar disorder, we might be a bit more apprehensive. And it's that weird it's just that weird relationship that we have. Why is it acceptable for somebody and somebody else maybe not so much? So I've wanted to explore that within this. Yeah.
Wow, it sounds amazing. Well, I'm definitely going to be down at opening night for the art fair, so I'll definitely see you then if I don't see you before.
Oh, brilliant.
And so going back to your street art, where can people see your work? Where is it on permanent display?
So I actually do a lot of stuff in Southwark. So in Paisley Park in Kennington, there's actually 3 permanent pieces there. There's 2 utility boxes which are on just right outside the park, and there's also a flagpole which I've done in kind of giraffe print to echo the fact that Paisley Park used to be a zoo.
Oh my God, did it? Like in Centrepoint?
Yeah.
Well, another zoo. Wow.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So both the pieces I've done there, one features a meerkat, one features a leopard. They're both part of my brick project. They're both camouflaged into the surroundings, so you wouldn't initially even notice them except for seeing, the animals kind of peering out or seeming to pounce out at you. I've got another mural which is just at the park that surrounds the Imperial War Museum. So that was I renovated a mural that used to be there. And the other one, which I think is kind of one of my proudest moments, is the telephone box that's on Southampton Row in Bloomsbury. That's a permanent art installation to promote cleaner air and more green in London. And it's actually locked. And if you look inside, I've painted the exact constellation of stars that we should be able to see from that point in London if we had cleaner air.
Wow. I know. I was in Rome at the start of July, and it was amazing. Like, sitting outside after dark, you really could see the stars, which is just so impossible in London. That is shocking.
Yeah, it really is. And so it's a nice opportunity for you to be able to sort of stargaze in central London. And again, it highlights that we should, we should be able to see this. If we had less light pollution and air pollution, this is something we should be able to witness. So it's just bringing that to the forefront of people's minds, I suppose. And again, making it interactive, as I think art should be. We should be able to engage with it.
Oh, that's great. What about, as an artist sort of producing work in the public domain, because, I've done some work with Camberwell Arts Festival, and when we're looking for artists, we always do a call out. But how do you find your gigs? Do you apply to call outs, or is it just through networks, or do you spend a lot of time researching, or do you even pitch to, potential venues and councils and things like that?
I would say earlier on, I did a lot of open calls. I did a lot of applying and application forms and stuff. And then thankfully, as years have gone on, I feel like I don't have to do that as much at the moment. And I'm approached more on whether it's word of mouth or different galleries I've worked with and stuff. But yeah, it's a combination of both. But I think at the moment, it seems to be people that have maybe seen my work and want to collaborate and work together. And I think it's just that thing of just, you never know what opportunities around the corner. So I try to be really open to everything. And when it works, and just see what happens, really.
And is most of your work in London as well? I mean, I know you're based in London, but is pretty much most of what you're doing here as well?
Yeah, it is at the moment. It's something I'd like to expand, I think, maybe one day. But yeah, I'm London born and raised. So for me, this is sort of the perfect place to explore and create new pieces in.
Oh, brilliant. Or anything else you want to talk about?
I think just the thing of, so you can see me creating the piece live on the opening night for Roy's People Art Fair, which again is on the Thursday, the 1st of November. And the tickets are free, and you can get that from royspeopleartfair.com. It's going to be a really exciting event, lots of amazing artists. There's definitely an art fair that you wouldn't want to miss.
And where can people find you online?
So I've got my Instagram, which is Andrea_Tyrimos, and also my Twitter and my website, which at the moment needs to be updated. So probably the social media handles at the moment,
Brilliant. Thank you, Andrea, so much for being a guest on the podcast, and I can't wait to see you soon.
Thank you so much, Geeta. It's been so lovely chatting with you.